All right, this is a crazy day. I am doing two videos. This one is for my Evil Dead 2 shed build. This was done by my buddy at Halliwax's Basement Builds, and it is based on Evil Dead 2 Ash's chainsaw, specifically from when he assembles it in the work shed. So there are a couple different versions of the chainsaw, and the major difference from what I know is this top piece here. So in the shed version, you have this metal strip that goes over the top, and I think in the film it was actually sheet metal. We used aluminum just because it was easier to work with. But then the other version, the cabin version, this actually has like a built-up ridge over here that's also red. I happen to like the the shed version, so that's the one that we went for. I also want to give a thanks and a shout out to Brett's Groovy Chainsaws. He's a YouTuber who does some absolutely amazing Evil Dead 2 chainsaw builds, and he was sort of our go-to source for what this build should look like and the detail that went into it, and also he had a really good tutorial on how to build this cuff and the best way to do that. Turns out the most accurate way to get this done is to use a coffee can, and you never would have known that had it not been for his shop, for his video. So thanks again, awesome videos, and keep up the good work. I can't see what else you put out. So let me get this right off. Let me get this straight right off the bat. This chainsaw is not the correct chainsaw. It is the right brand. It is a Homelite, but it's not the right model. The model that I ended up getting is the Homelite 2. I don't know enough about the prop to rattle off the exact model, but it's similar. I think one of the differences is just how far this section here comes out. So there's some minor differences, but I wasn't looking for 100%. And actually, this is more for cosplay than anything. And you know, I thought it'd be a fun Halloween costume. So I wasn't looking for sort of DL44 E11 level of accuracy. I kind of said, you know, 85 to 95%. I like to call it good enough, and Halliwax always yells at me for saying good enough, but that's really all I was looking for. It didn't hold the same meaning to me as a Star Wars prop. The blade, I think, is sort of the crowning achievement of this build. When I got it, the blade that came with it was way too small. It was maybe like a 18-inch blade or something, and in the movie it's actually about 24 inches, so it's substantially longer. So Halliwax cut this out of a pretty thick sheet of aluminum, I think probably like 1/8, and then he actually 3D printed these teeth. And he did not model them. The model is available on Thingiverse, so if you search for Evil Dead 3D parts, you can find the chain blade, and you can also find this vent. But yeah, so he 3D printed it, and I guess that you can kind of maneuver it a little bit too, though, you know, it's 3D print, so it wants to break, but that's okay. Again, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It looks good enough. I ended up doing the paint on it because I like doing stuff like that. So I went in and I hand painted all the rivets and also all of the teeth. So if you look closely, they're all painted silver. But you can also tell that they're 3D printed when you look really closely. But from a normal viewing distance, it looks like a pretty legit blade. So in terms of what Halliwax did, this aluminum section here, he cut it, shaped it, and also hand built this handle here. Again, cut and shaped this whole handle section, as well as the cuff. And if you look inside, I don't know how well you can see it, there's a handle that's placed in there. And you can also see sort of like a wood block in there, and that is how the blade is held on. And he remade this blade guard because the one that was on it was just kind of too small and not accurate. So this one is pretty close to the one that's seen in the film. And there were a couple versions of this chainsaw seen in the shed, and one of them was a special effects version that had exhaust coming out of the vent, and that was the one that was used to cut the double barrel shotgun, or the boomstick. And that one had gaffer's tape on the front of it, presumably to kind of hold some of the electronics in. I like the look of that, so I wanted the gaffer's tape on it. Of course, Halliwax yelled at me because that's just what he does when he doesn't agree with the way I want the props, but you know what, sucks to be him. We also cut down this handle here because on the original chainsaw it came all the way out and connected to the original handle that went across the top. And this is also one of the places where there are differences between this chainsaw and the actual one used in the film. The one used in the film has a red knob that comes out here, and then I think this fits inside, but on this version of the chainsaw it's inversed. So this piece over here slides over the red knob. But it's minor. Most people probably would never notice it. I never noticed it until I started looking at it to figure out the build. And it's super lightweight too, because I mean all the innards are removed. So when it does come time for a cosplay, it won't be bad to handle at all. This was also replaced, the whatever you want to call it, just this handle on the pull string, but the pull string gear still is in there, so that snaps back like it should. And you can see I messed up the look of the chainsaw nicely, and I tried to be pretty close to what it looked like in the film. Again, you know, I'm not looking for 100% accuracy. Good enough is all I wanted. But I think it ends up looking the part pretty nicely. I just used a combination of acrylics. I used a gloss black mixed with a brown, and it gave me a nice greasy look. Though inside this exhaust over here, all I used was gloss black because I figured it's supposed to be kind of oily and nasty, so I didn't want that to have any brown mixed in. But on the body itself, it's mixed the black and the brown. And I did the same thing to the blade. I spray painted it originally, and then I added just some acrylic paint to give it a little bit of texture, you know, just to make it look dirty and used. I don't have blood on it really, just because to me that looks too kind of cheap Halloween prop. So I didn't want to go that route. Plus the prop itself didn't really have blood on it, so it didn't seem authentic to have it on my replica. But the other nice thing about this build, again compared to a Star Wars build, is how cheap it is. The chainsaw itself, and again, was not the exact right one, but the chainsaw cost me $14.20. It did not work, which was fine, because I knew the motor was going to be pulled out anyway. And then, you know, different bits and pieces. The aluminum for this handle here was like maybe 10 bucks. The wood for the handle and for the cord over here, that was maybe 5 bucks. I had to buy a coffee can. That was maybe $2.50. And also I needed to get the exhaust clamp from Amazon, which was I think $12. So all told, this was a really cheap build, again compared to a Star Wars build, which can cost you close to $1,000. So I'll take something that cost me around 50 bucks. And it was just a fun kind of weekend thing, which is also another reason why I wasn't worried about super accuracy. I wanted it to just be a fun build. I didn't want it to be the kind of thing that we had to stress and do a whole lot of research over. It was just meant to be something that we could have fun with and do a quick build. So that's it. That is my Evil Dead shed chainsaw. And hopefully I'll be doing a cosplay of it sooner rather than later. And that's it. If you have any questions, go ahead, leave a question, comment. Thanks for watching.